I'm Cliff Albert. This past week, the San Diego-based National Conflict Resolution Center brought leading authors, scholars, and journalists together for a national online conversation about race in America and bridging our country's political divide. It was called A Path Forward, a virtual event that was seen not only around the country, but in other parts of the world. I talked with Stephen Dinkin with the National Conflict Resolution Center and asked him if his hopes for this forum and this event were met.
Our hope for this event was to take a very challenging issue around race that is under review and in the minds of people across this nation, and to look at it through the lens of these national scholars and authors and bring to light some of the challenges that we're facing as a nation with regard to race. And the discussion that we were able to hold with these three authors, I think was absolutely successful.
So was there a path forward identified during the event?
The path forward was identified, but it remains a challenge. The path forward that we've seen is that it's important to remain active and to keep the discussion moving forward. As an organization, we're focused on dialogue and on action. And the message coming from these three authors is that with regard to racism, whichever side and perspective you have, the key is to keep bringing the topic up and to continue to have that discussion and to be active, to join an organization, to support an organization that's involved in addressing issues of racism in our society. And that's the strong message that these authors have. And it's also the message of our organization is that when there are societal issues, it's critical that that people engage in dialogue, that they engage in action, and not just ignore the problem, but to address the problem, but to do it in a respectful way.
Why do you think race, based on this online conversation, is such a difficult thing to talk about?
I think it's challenging to talk about because as individuals, let's say from a white person's perspective, we don't want to admit that we're racist, and we don't want to take that type of responsibility. And so rather than facing that challenge, it's so much easier to state that, look, I'm not racist, and to really ignore the issue. And then from a perspective from an African American perspective, a black perspective, Latino X perspective, Latinx perspective, they're facing the challenges every day walking into society, and they don't necessarily have the opportunity to engage in the opportunities that we have from a white person's perspective. And so we're almost in two different camps, like we're moving in our own circles and our own silos, and that's part of the problem. So it's difficult to have the conversation because we don't want to admit wrongdoing, and then also we don't often have the opportunity to have a conversation with someone who looks different than ourselves.
Are you optimistic that this issue can be finally resolved one day?
I am optimistic. I think as a society, I believe that we're becoming more aware of some of these underlying problems in our society, and the George Floyd situation brought to light this problem that has been in existence for many, many years. And so the key is for the media and other institutions and for individuals to keep this in the forefront. And if, as a society, we keep pushing forward and having these discussions and engaging in this type of dialogue, then I am optimistic that ultimately, we'll continue to progress as a society.
That's Stephen Dinkin with the San Diego-based National Conflict Resolution Center. And I'm Cliff Albert, KOGO News.